Hello everyone, this is Pedro with CineMilled. Happy to be here again in my favorite place, the CineMilled Garage, because this time I got something I've been looking forward to sharing with all of you, which is our universal backseat system. Now, what is that? So, like many of you, maybe you will be soon planning to buy a Cinemilled Action Arm, or maybe you have a black arm, or if you're very lucky, you have a Motocrane. All of these tools you can put on any car out there. And so you always have the challenge of, you need to put the operator in the back seat, you need to put the first AC in the back seat, and you may even need to put the first AD in the back seat to do all the coordination in between the hero cars and all that kind of stuff. And so they all need monitors. The camera operator, of course, needs his control station, whether that be the wheels, whether that be a Cinemilled control panel for the Ronin-M remote, or if you have a shot over, you'll have the shot over panel. If you have an Airy SRH, you'll have a joystick panel, much like our control panel. And so you need a place to put all those things that may not be on people's laps, that maybe not be cobbled together. There's certainly, grips are amazing at coming up with solutions, but we wanted to provide everyone with a universal system that it's as universal as it can be. So what we did is we built the foundation of our system on the two headrest posts. So what we came up with is a headrest mount that is adjustable and as universal as we could make it. There is, of course, over the last 50, 60 years of car manufacturing, there are different diameter posts, and there's also different spacing between the posts. So our mount, it slides on a dovetail, so it is adjustable for width, and then we made the holes here in a V shape, so essentially, even though you may have a varying thickness of your post, it should fit even if you have a very thick post or a thinner post. So the mount itself is highly adjustable. So this is just the start of our mounting system. Now, naturally, of course, if all you want to do and you want to keep this as simple as possible, and all you're looking to do is to put a monitor on the back of the seat for someone to look at, then this is where it starts and this is where it ends. This is all you need. So because what we have here is we have a series of 1/4-20 and 3/8/16 holes, as we're very familiar with, as we put on all of our products. And like on all of our products, they're all 1 inch on center spaced. We strive to make this as affordable as possible, because if you're on a budget, this is, like I said, this is where it starts and this is where it ends. And so, of course, what you can do is you can take your favorite monitor arm and mount your NILG arm to the one of the mounting holes, and then mount your monitor, and then you're good to go. You go shooting. That's as complicated as you can make it if you want. As I was sitting there, I was thinking, this is not exactly what I want, because in the end of the day, usually I might be using the wheels, or I might be using the Ronin-M controller or something like it. And especially with wheels, like the control panel is really great because, as you know, I sort of designed it to sit in your lap. So it's not so bad with that. But obviously with wheels, it gets really awkward because you have to mount them somehow. They can't be in your lap. It just doesn't work. So I needed something more. From here, using posts and the cheese plate and our Houdini clamps and some speed rail, and then a lot more 360 Houdini clamps so that you can mount wheels and stuff, we will have a complete backseat system that's very solid, that's very stable, that will hold a 17-inch monitor, 2 17-inch monitors, 3 17-inch monitors. You can have a 17-inch monitor in the middle. You can have smaller 7 inches on the sides. You can mount master wheels, you can mount alpha wheels, you can mount inertia wheels, you can mount the Ronin remote, a complete backseat system. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to offer First, like I mentioned, you can buy just the headrest bracket. Second, you can choose a complete kit with everything you need, a system, for a single seat. Or you can buy the system for the complete backseat system for 2 seats, basically. What does that mean? That means the single seat system will give you the cheese plate and all the rods necessary and the Houdinis necessary to mount wheels. So the single seat system, you can choose to mount it behind the passenger seat or the driver's seat, and that will give you enough pieces so that you can mount wheels or any sort of control implement, and then also a monitor, right? And be able to adjust those things and put them exactly where you want. So what you see in the highlighted box is what you get with the single seat kit. If you order the dual seat kit, you'll get an additional headrest mount, a hex plate and standoffs, 2 male Houdini speed rail clamps, a speed rail to rigging rod mixture clamp, a 33-inch rigging rod that you'll use for the vertical support, and a 4-foot speed rail. Every single piece that we have here that completes the system is available individually. So you can piece it together. You may already have some of our parts, and so you may not be interested in buying the system because you're doubling up on some of the parts you already have. So you can actually just go in and buy just the pieces you're missing and put your system together and tailor it to exactly what your needs are. But most people, I think, are going to want the complete system because it's turnkey. You create a case just for it, and the greatest thing is that since it's using for the basis the 2 posts on the headrests, it can pretty much fit in almost any vehicle, which is the most brilliant thing about things like the Motocrane and any sort of arms we put on some of these vehicles now is we no longer need a dedicated camera car vehicle. You can fly to location, rent a car, you have your kit with you, and you can deck the car out. All right, so here we are inside of our camera vehicle. I've already set up the driver's side, and I'm gonna set up here for us the passenger side. If you're just doing a single system, I'm gonna sort of do that first, and I'll let you know when that single system would be completed, and then we're gonna connect the 2 sides together and build out our complete monitoring system and camera control setup right here. We're gonna start with just the headrest mount. Most of these headrests will pop all the way out. In this car they do. You just have to hit the little, there's a button, usually a release on each side. You gotta press both of them and then it comes out. The reason I'm doing this is because this way I can just slide it on and I don't have to take the double-sided clamps all the way off. I'm not going to tighten all the way because I'm going to want to position it a little bit. So I'm just going to get this most of the way in. And if you can't take your headrest off, the clamps come all the way off. So you can slide it in. You can still get it in even if you can't get the headrest off. It's just a little faster if you can because you can leave it assembled. So I leave it loose, as you can see here. And that way I can slide it down, and I'm gonna leave it at the highest position so I have a lot of room to go up and down. So you're gonna want to put these in the same height. So I'm actually just gonna rest it right there at the bottom, and because that's where I know that's where I did the other one. You could just order the headrest mounting bracket and call it a day because you have 3/8/16 and a 1/4-20 mounting holes, so you could take any monitor arm that you may have. We have our favorite one here, one that we designed, and you can just thread right into there, grab your favorite monitor, and position it as you want for your operating. Now, this isn't the best option because you're going to be holding your monitor maybe from just one position. There's a lot of mounting holes here, so you could grab 2 monitor arms and attach to each side of the monitor, make it much sturdier. But ultimately, what we want to do here is build out the complete rear seat system, right? The next step that we would do is we have the posts, and so we're going to thread those in to the headrest bracket. So they're 2 inches apart. You could take a crescent wrench and snug those up. you know, and there's no reason to go super tight on those. The next step here is to mount the cheese plate. So the cheese plate gives you a much wider variety of options on how you may want to rig things up. This is the same upper cheese plate that is on our 6-inch suction cup. And one of the things you'll see here that I have pre-rigged on here is half of a 360 Houdini. So we're actually going to want to go ahead and pre-rig the other side. So these are all mirrored. So whatever is on one side is on the other. So I'm just going to get that started. So this will give us our down rods for our wheels or whatever control system we're using. And we have here our countersunk 3/8/16 screws. So when it comes down to time to mount the cheese plate, you can mount it on the upper holes, which brings everything lower, or you can move the bolts down to the lower holes, and this brings the cheese plate higher up. This might give you more knee room, depending on what vehicle you're in, you know, a sports car maybe. In this truck, we have a lot of leg room, and actually I'm going to mount it on the upper holes because I want to keep the speed rail as low as I can, really, so that I can come off of the speed rail with different accessories. So this part is going to vary from vehicle to vehicle. The cool thing is that you have a little bit of adjustment there, up or down, right? So adjustment is always a good thing. So at this point you have our offset tubes, what I like to call standoffs, and this gets the cheese plate away from the back of the seat. Some cars have a bigger contour, so that's very important. I have pre-rigged here these 5/8 Houdini mounts, and so this will give us our down bars for the control system. So if you ordered the single seat kit, this is pretty much all the pieces that you're going to get, along, of course, with all the 5/8 mounting rods. Now they'll be anodized black. I'm doing the video with them unanodized so that it's easier for the camera to read. But you get two 10-inchers and I think two 7-inchers. So the 10-inchers are the down rods that are right here, as you can see. And so we're going to tighten this guy up. And this will give us, and so by sliding this up or down, that gives us the adjustment of the height of where you're going to have the wheels. Of course, these will move left to right, and you can adjust them as you want. So at this point, you got your cheese plate, you got your vertical 5/8 rods set up, and it's now probably time to get your control system set up. So let's hit pause for a second and quickly talk about control systems. So the master wheels have detachable pods, and they have mounting point. They have a couple 3/8/16 mounting points all over them. The alpha wheels right here, they have two 3/8/16 mounting points right on the bottom. The inertia wheels that I have right here, they also have two 3/8/16 mounting holes, and you can see here I already pre-rigged it because that's what I'm actually going to set up. And you see here the half of the 360 Houdini in the 5/8 size that is included with the kit. Already setting up the horizontal rods, and so there is a little caveat with the inertia wheels. There is a depth here that you have to get right. So this is why you see these washers stacked up, is because if we go too deep, we're going to damage the circuit board. So this is something to be careful, something that's only specific to the inertia wheels. So the other option with the Ronin-2 is the CineMilled control panel, right? So the CineMilled control panel, it has 3/8/16 and 1/4 20 mounting holes on the outer edges, which is very nice because, as you can see here, we have, just like we did with the inertia wheels, set up the half side of the 360 Houdinis in the 5/8 side, so to rig up our horizontal rods. All right, so you saw here I already started running that rod out, and now I'm going to add the other rod. But you see there I got both the horizontal rods coming out, and we're going to intersect with the vertical rods. So of course we're going to use our 360 5/8 Houdini that, you know, it swivels, right? So we're going to, let's get the wheels positioned, and we just slide those on, and then we slide them on right there. So now that we got the Houdini clamps on there, the 5/8 rigging rod clamps, I'm going to rotate this level, and I'm going to go down to just about where I think it should be. And I'm going to take my Allen wrench and give it a little bit of a tighten right there, just so things stop moving a little bit. But it's important to note that at this point you can adjust the angle right here like this, right? You can adjust the complete height by moving these rods up and, you know, moving this up and down on the rods. So you have full adjustability of both the tilt and the height of the wheel or of your control board of choice. So I'm going to snug this up. So we use really big bolts, and so you can put a lot of pressure on them, and I encourage you to do that because then things will not move. And so let me tighten this up right here. And as we do that, you'll find the whole thing starting to get a lot stiffer. So don't forget, you got at every joint you have connections that you have to tighten, and you're gonna, obviously, if you forget, you're gonna find out really soon that they're loose. So let's get the last one here. All right, so there you have it. We are all set up at this point. And so if all you need is a single seat, this is the complete single seat kit. We got all the parts necessary, the 5/8 rods and all the Houdini clamps, in order for you to have a fully adjustable mount for your wheels. In this case, we have the inertia wheels all ready to go. And it could be, like I mentioned, the Ronin-2 control panel that we make. It could be any other sort of panel system that you may have for your remote head. If you have wheels, all the rods and all the bolts included, you should be able to mount those. Earlier we had our alpha wheel set up here, but it's basically just you take two mounting points, 3/8/16 in this case, and you get yourself all set up. But moving on from here, what we want to do now is connect these two seats together and do our full dual seat universal car system. So what we're going to do is we're going to put another monitor on that side for the AC, and then we're going to put a 17-inch in the center for our AD. Now we're going to tie the two sides together. So I have the driver's side all set up with this fixed Houdini, and now we're going to do the passenger side. So we got the empty cheese plate right here. We're going to take our male Houdini that's included in the kit, and obviously we want to orient it so that the tube will be horizontal, and we're going to slide that in, and we're going to take the include washer and the nut, and we're going to mount that on there. All right, so you're going to want to tighten that nut nice and snug. So as you know, we were just doing the single seat system, and now that we got the horizontal Houdini here so we can run the speed rail, you notice that these clamps are in the wrong spot and the speed rail can't get through. So it, you know, first of all, I did that so that you guys could sort of visualize it and see it on camera. But normally what we want to do is mount these towards the back so that you have a free shot with the speed rail, which is what we're going to do now. But if you're only doing a single seat system, you don't really need to do that. So that's why it's actually just easier, because you can come here and you have easy access to the bolts so that you can adjust the height and everything. So personally, for the single seat system, there's absolutely no problem in mounting these the way we did in the front. But obviously for the dual seat system, because we have to run the speed rail across, we're going to want to move these towards the back. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to jump forward. Now that I've moved those Houdini clamps to the back, I have a straight shot now with my speed rail over to the other side, and so we're all set to now turn this into the dual seat system. Important time to bring up the fact that what you want to do, you have to match both seats position and relation to each other, right? So what you want to do is you want to ask the driver to get in his seat and get in a comfortable driving position. And so this is going to set his seat back angle and the fore and aft. And so once that is done, we are going to match the passenger seat to the driver. At this point, we have the driver's seat position set, and as you can maybe see on screen, the passenger seat is a little bit too far back and the angle is not matching. So at this point, we're going to move the seat forward a little bit. Go ahead, and you can kind of eyeball it a little bit. Let's move the seat back, tilt it up. Go that way, yeah, a little bit, that's good. And so at this point, the easiest way to get them to match is to actually lay the speed rail in. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get ready to put the speed rail in here. I'm going to get the cap off of the Houdini. Your kit will come with a piece of 4-foot endized CineMilled speed rail, which is just like your regular speed rail, except anodized black. All right. And so you're going to want to loosen up your Houdinis as much as possible. This will make this a lot easier, right? And there we go. And so look at the back of the clamp and you'll see if there's a gap there. That means, let's see here, tilt the back of the seat that way. No, other way. Keep going, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And now move the seat forward a little bit. More. All right. That is almost perfect. Move it back this way. Towards me. Towards me. All right. All right. So that looks pretty good. And so now I'm going to go ahead and put the tighten up the Houdini here. All right, so I'm just tightening up here the driver's side speed rail clamp, and I like to do a little bit at a time so you get a nice equal pressure on the clamp as usual. And same thing on this side. So now this is kind of the magical moment, honestly, because you know there is some movement when you have just a headrest mount. But now what we're doing is we're tying the two seats together, and all of a sudden this whole setup gets a lot stiffer and a lot sturdier. And most important of all, we have a nice speed rail that's going left to right across the entire car. So as you can see here, this is now very sturdy and it's not moving much at all, so it's even better than before. And so here we got our operator wheels, and we can get our monitor set up right here. There's actually a 3/8/16 threaded hole here right on top of the clamp, and you can use this for a grub screw, but in this case you can actually use it as a mounting point for your monitor if you want to. And at the same time, it's also going to dig into the speed rail and further secure the speed rail, even though the clamp is perfectly tight without doing that. But you can actually use that as a mounting point if you want. All right, so now I just mounted the monitor, and we got our wheel set up, and we got our operator monitor. And so now you can run like this if you want. It's very sturdy, you know. What I recommend is running an additional vertical support beam, essentially. It's a third point of contact. So as always, having 3 points of contact, triangulating your mounts is what really makes them and completes the sort of the rigidity and of the structure. The really interesting thing with the 360 Houdini line of products is we have 4 sizes. We have 2 sizes of speed rail and 2 sizes of rigging rods. We've got 3/8 and 5/8, and you can mix and match all of them. And so in the kit, in the the 2-seat kit, you're going to get one that's already mixed of inch and a quarter speed rail and the 5/8 rod. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. And why are we doing that? We're doing that so we can go from speed rail to a vertical 5/8 support rod. All right, so here we go. You just undo the bolt, go around the speed rail like that, throw the bolt back in, and now you can. All right, so we got our vertical 5/8 support rod here, and we got our Houdini clamp that is coupled from the speed rail to a 5/8 clamp, and we're just gonna slide that guy in there. And I like to run it on the back side of the speed rail. That gives us a little bit more inset on the monitor, a little bit more distance to the person's face. And so let's tighten up that clamp. The nice thing about using a 5/8 rod as the vertical support, besides it being a little smaller diameter for the person sitting in the middle to get their knees around it, it also doubles as a sort of baby pin on the other side. So, you know, I just wanted to point out, now that we have 3 points of contact, this is now, you know, extremely sturdy. So that really completes the system, is that third point of contact. So let's get our 17-inch monitor here. And there we go, right on the baby pin. Boom. All right. So now we have our AD monitor here in place. But, you know, with the speed rail here, you have lots of options. With the Houdini clamps that we have, that like I mix and matched here, you can run a dual system. You can get a monitor mount that has a yoke, which is a lot more stable. So there's a lot of options. But the important thing is, if you are running a bigger monitor in the center, that it's right over the vertical support rod. So that way all the weight goes straight to that. And it should give you a nice sturdy setup. So there you have it. We are completely set up. We got our AC monitor. We have our AD big 17-inch monitor. And then we have our operating monitor. And most importantly, we have our inertia wheels for the operator to control our remote head. So, you know, we just have this 17-inch on a VESA mount on, you know, on a baby pin essentially. And so it's a little wobbly. The mounting is very sturdy, but so probably better if you had like a yoke system here. A lot of yoke systems have mounting points on the side. If you had a 3/8, you can actually use more rigging rod with Houdini mounts to really make this really rigid. But most importantly, we want to show things like the control panel setup right here instead of the wheels, because a lot of people don't use wheels in vehicles. Different size monitors, different ways to mount the monitor, because really the sky's the limit. You know, we have here a female Houdini mount that we sell, and it has a number of threaded holes on the back side. So you can actually take one of our baby pins and thread that in there, and then you can move this baby pin anywhere you want, left to right within the back side of the vehicle. Or if you have two of these, you can slide these left and right, and then you would have two mounting points to rig anything you want. So, you know, really your imagination is the limit here. You just have to get creative. And the most important thing is you have a mounting system, you have a speed rail going horizontally across your vehicle, you have 3 points of contact. It is very sturdy. You know, we have the monitors moving a little bit right now, but you can see here the system is very sturdy. And you have everything you need to really build out the back seat of your vehicle in a very professional manner. So now you have a much better idea on how it all goes together and what the single system looks like and how the dual system looks like. Personally, for me, I want the complete kit, because honestly, you're always going to have an operator, you're always going to have a first AC, and you should have somebody in the AD department in the car at all times, watching maybe on a bigger monitor and noticing a bogey or something like that, but most importantly, coordinating all the cars and all the elements in the shot. So ultimately, I think I'll always want to have the option of tying the two seats together. I feel like that's probably the best setup, but if you're on a budget and all you need is a system for the operator, then you're going to have that option. And of course, if you're really on a budget and all you need is to put a freaking monitor in the back seat of your car, then all you really have to do is get the headrest mount, and you're good to go. So if you have any questions about everything we covered in this video, of course you can just leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, but I'm going to definitely throw you to our CineMilled users Facebook group. It's filled with people that probably already have the product you're asking questions for, already maybe encountered the problem that you're having and need an answer to, and so it's a great resource. There's also a really good group, which is the vehicle rigging and camera car group, and it is really, you got over 6,000 people in there, a lot of grips that can bring a lot of knowledge to your problem. To wrap this up, I really hope that this video has inspired you to go on our website and look at all the options and look at what you need to do to configure your kit so that you can make a better environment for your operators, so you can make a better environment for the ACs that are working in your car, and of course, ultimately, a much better professional presentation for all your clients. Because the most important thing is for everybody involved to focus on the creative, focus on getting the shot. And ultimately, if you're comfortable, if you have things where you want them and nothing's moving around and you have the tools that you want, you're going to create better. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's going to wrap us up for this one. And I'll see you on the next one.